In the last decade, we have seen many indie games release and be so incredible that they inspired other indie games. We have now an entire generation of indie games inspired by indie games. One game that managed to have that impact was Cuphead. With its incredible visuals and super fun gameplay, Cuphead won the hearts of many. Today, I am going to talk to you about a game that was clearly inspired by Cuphead, but looks to put its own spin to set itself apart. Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy and this is my non-spoiler review for Enchanted Portals for PS5. The game was developed by XIXO Game Studio and published by Perpetual. Enchanted Portals follows the story of magicians Bobby and Penny, who mess around with a magic book and get trapped and warped into different dimensions. They must now find a way to get back to their dimension before they get themselves killed. The story of this game is told through animated cutscenes and still images. Let's talk about the visuals of this game, because that is one of the things that's really gonna stick out in a good way. The game features some beautiful hand-drawn cartoon aesthetics that are a delight to look at. Characters and enemies are very well animated and truly feel as if you were playing a cartoon. All around, the game is extremely visually charming. In terms of performance, all I can say is that the game's frame rate is very consistent and that I experienced no frame rate drops whatsoever. So let's talk about the music in this game. The music in this game is excellent. It's whimsical, catchy, and cartoony. Now let's talk about the gameplay. Enchanted Portals is a 2D action platformer in the same vein as Cuphead. That game has multiple worlds with various stages each. The first stages of the world are what you would call a run and gun stage, where there's going to be a lot of platforming and shooting at enemies. All you need to do is get from point A to point B while dodging traps and killing enemies. At the end of each world, there's a boss fight. In terms of the game mechanics, you can play solo or co-op. You have 3 different spells that you can use to shoot at enemies: fire, wind, and ice. And they each have a distinct shooting pattern. Like for example, fire shoots fast and in a straight line, and wind shoots a 3-way shot. Each spell has a color, and that plays into how you can kill certain enemies. Some enemies have an aura that may be blue, green, or red, and in order to kill them, you need to attack them with a corresponding element: blue for ice, green for wind, and red for fire. Other enemies don't have auras. These you can kill with any spell. You have a shield that can briefly make you invulnerable and that has a cooldown time after using it. You can double jump and dash on the floor and in the air, and you can melee attack. You also have a more powerful version of your spells that you can activate once you fill up a bar surrounding your character's HP. This bar fills up progressively as you land hits on enemies. And this power-up only lasts for a small amount of time. In regards to your HP, this is illustrated by the character's picture in the upper side of the screen. As you take damage, your character's face changes and the color around him does so too. You can take around 4 to 5 hits approximately before dying. Enemies come in all shapes and sizes depending on the world you're playing. Bosses are a real spectacle and have multiple faces each, and the game is very difficult and will require a lot of practice to master. In terms of the level design, the stages look very cool and interesting and are very different from one to the other. However, they throw a lot, maybe too much at you at the same time. The game demands quick reactions from the player, but it gets very difficult to do so because the controls are not tight and responsive enough. And a lot of what happens in the stage feels weird because of the weak audio design. It's like your eyes are telling you that there are a lot of enemies and enemy attacks on screen, but your ears are telling you that there aren't. This adds to the problem of being able to react as fast as the game wants you to. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of this game, and I'll start off with the pros. First of all, the art style. The visuals in this game are cartoony, charming, and the animations are excellent. And second of all, the music. It's catchy, it's whimsical, and it's cartoony and pairs up beautifully with the visuals. Now let's talk about the cons of this game. The first issue I had is the lack of responsiveness or tightness from the controls, and this is a big one. If you double jump, the second jump has to maintain the same direction. You can't abruptly change it back because you lose momentum. If you dash, you are committed to the entire dash animation and cannot interrupt it. Changing between actions is not seamless. At times the character stops completely before changing to another action. All this sums up and harms the maneuverability of the game. It's problematic because the game expects precise dodging from the player. And with these controls, it's very hard and borderline impossible, meaning that you are going to take damage and die because of it and not because of lack of skill. The second critique that I have for this game is in regards to the audio design. I feel like there's a lack of audio feedback and sound effects in the game. Like I said earlier in this review, there are times when you're playing a stage and you can see that there are a lot of enemies and they're shooting a lot of stuff at you and there's a lot of stuff happening, but the audio feedback that the player's getting is minimal, almost to the point where the stage feels hollow from an audio design perspective. And I can't stress enough how important the audio feedback is for these type of games. Not only for the enjoyment of the player, hearing the crunchy sounds and attacks having weight to them, but also so that the player can react at the right time. When you're playing a game, visual cues and audio cues are key so that the player can process the right information and react as the developer intended. In conclusion, Enchanted Portals is a visually stunning game with some catchy music that truly captivates your eyes and ears. However, the game demands that the player thread the needle with precision dodging and maneuvering, but does not offer the tight and responsive controls required for that. That, alongside the lackluster audio design and lack of audio cues and feedback, lead to a very frustrating experience that won't let this game enchant and captivate your heart. For this reason, I was mixed with this game and recommend it with caution. Hopefully they address the responsiveness of the controls in an update. So that's going to be it for my non-spoiler review of Enchanted Portals for the PS5. The game's link will be in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Hi everyone, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our content.